Hello, welcome to All of the Above, where we talk about spirituality, healing modalities, energy, intuitive development, the mystical, and any and everything related to spiritual awakening. My name is Meredith, and I'm so excited that you're here and to jump into today's episode. Hi, welcome back to All the Above. Thank you, as always, for joining me here. I'm so grateful that you're taking the time to connect with yourself and to join us here. And I'm so excited to welcome today's incredible guest, the beautiful Justina Sharp of Angel Reiki Journey. And Justina is a registered nurse, a Reiki master teacher, an intuitive healer, medium, a retreat leader, and the heart behind Angel Reiki Journey. For more than 20 years, she has beautifully blended her medical background with spiritual wisdom, helping others reconnect with their intuition, deepen their relationship with spirit, and remember the healing power that already exists within themselves. Through Reiki, angelic guidance, mediumship, and heart-centered healing, Justina supports people in awakening to their soul's truth and living from a place of greater love and alignment. In our conversation, we'll explore Justina's incredible journey from nursing into energy healing and spiritual work full time, how Reiki opened the door to her intuitive and mediumship gifts, what it means to work with the angelic realm, and the profound role that heart healing plays in our spiritual growth. We'll also talk about all sorts of things related to Justina's journey that I'm so excited to get into, and all about stepping into who we really came here to be. I know you're going to love getting to know the beautiful Justina as much as I have. She's such an authentic presence, a pure ray of light and joy, and a truly inspiring woman who I just know you're going to fall in love with from this conversation. So, welcome, Justina. Thank you so much for being here. It's truly an honor.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first time being a guest on the podcast. I'm used to doing the interviewing, so yeah, I'm trying to put my big girl panties on.
Well, your podcast is incredible too. Just wanting to make sure I put that out there. It's so inspiring, and I listen to it, and it's just like receiving a hug from you and
Hmm.
upliftment, and always something that I needed to hear. So, definitely Sacred Soul Sisters is the name of it. So, everyone, go find Justina.
Thank you so much, Meredith. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, but I'd love to get into a bit of your story about how you got here to doing your soul work full time and anything you might want to share about your journey.
Yeah, so it feels like it's been a really, really long journey. I feel like it all sort of started. I remember being a kid and being around people, and all of a sudden I would kind of be like, "Oh, I kind of want to go stand next to them," or "I don't want to be by them," right? And then when I was 9, about to be 10, my grandfather, who was my best friend at the time, um, I was staying the night at my grandparents' house, and in the middle of the night, I saw him standing at the foot of my bed, and he had multiple strokes, and I never seen him standing unless he was holding on to things, right? And I was so confused, and I kept asking him. He was in a suit, he was holding a baby boy, um, and I was just, Grandpa, why are you standing at the foot of my bed? You've got a suit on. Like, what's going on? And he said, I just want you to know that no matter what happens, um, that everything is going to be okay. And I love you so much. And there's more to that story too, but that was the gist of it. So the next morning, I wake up and I'm just kind of rattled from this dream, and I'm like, that was just really weird. What I thought was a dream, later on, I realized that was a visit. And anyway, so long story short, Grandpa passes away the next day, and I am completely destroyed. I am trying to wrap my head around. I was brought up Catholic and then became non-denominational, and I'm still non-denominational, but I am a Christian, and so I was trying to take every piece of, there were great things that I learned in the Catholic religion. There were great things like about the angels and the saints how close I felt to Mother Mary and all of those things. But there was also this part of like guilt that I felt like somehow I started to take on. And I felt guilty for everything. Like if I walked the wrong way, I felt guilty. If I stepped to the side too soon, I felt guilty, right? So this was something that I was like, what did I do? Like, how did I somehow cause this? Because otherwise, I wouldn't have seen him last night, right? He wouldn't have been standing at the foot of my bed. This doesn't make sense. Oh my gosh, somehow I like killed him. So for
Mm.
like a year, I kept this to myself. And being a mom now, I can't fathom that. And took a minute to tell my grandmother one day. I said, "You're going to have to call the police. Like I did something terrible." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, what did you do?" And I sat her down and I said, "This is what happened. Like the night before Grandpa passed away. Da 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 da." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you didn't kill Grandpa."
Aw.
And I know it was terrible. I can still feel that moment. But I can also feel that moment where she shed so much light on my life, and I was like, oh, I didn't, you
Mm.
know? And she said, "You remind me a lot of your great great grandmother who had some Cherokee Indian within her, and she would have these premonitions all of the time, and she talks like you do, like, or you talk like she does, like, it's just bizarre. Like, you talk about different things that happen, or the way that you talk about, like, how you feel when you're around someone, and things like that." So I kind of like brushed it off, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just glad that I didn't do anything to Grandpa. So as time went on in high school, I would be like woke in the middle of the night, and they're like, "Hey, you got to call your friend Susie, or you got to call your friend Mary, and like right now. And back then we didn't have cell phones or anything, so I couldn't text somebody. So I had to actually call them, and every time I followed through, something terrible was happening. I know at one point one of my friends was actually getting ready to attempt to take her life, which was terrible. Uh, and another friend was in a domestic abuse situation, and I just took it as like I'm being a really good friend. Like everybody does this. Like they know that they need to check on their friend, and it wasn't until like close to the end of high school that people were like, "No, like we don't all do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's part of being a good friend." And they're like, "No, I mean, I don't really wake up in the middle of the night and need to call somebody." Um, so again, I was kind of like, well, that's weird. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. And so I kind of chucked it off to that. Fast forward in my 20s, I had went to nursing school, and I always just kind of energetically picked up on things, which I didn't know at the time was energetic. But anytime someone was like on their deathbed or something like that, it never failed that somehow I would end up having to be the one caring for them at that moment, which also starts to get you thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, do they think I'm the Grim Reaper? Like, what is happening? Why is all this happening to me? And what did I do so horrible that like I just have to deal with people that are like dying or in terrible trauma, right? So fast forward, and I am working as a nurse, and there is we were having this meeting, right? And so we're all sitting in this room, and one of the girls that I was working with had a terrible migraine. This other lady walks up, puts her hands on top of her head, and she's standing there, and I'm like, what are you doing to her? Stop. What are you doing? And I could see the tension in her face like start to calm. And I was like, why? What are you doing? Like, what kind of woo woo voodoo weirdo stuff are you doing? And she's like, stop it. She's like, you're going to be doing it too. And I'm like, oh, I ain't doing no weird stuff. Like, mm-mm. Yeah. Boy, I can barely get those words out of my mouth now
Oh my
compared
gosh.
to the things that have happened since. Whew, that was pretty minor. Anyway, and sorry, this is a long story. I'll wrap up here soon.
Oh no, I love it.
So, so then, like, I leave for the day. I'm driving to a client's house, a patient's house, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening to the radio and everything. Now, this is like 4 hours later, and I hear someone say the word Reiki on the radio. So this lady told me what she was doing was Reiki, and I was like, that even sounds like a weird name. Well, then I hear it on the radio. Now, mind you, this was 20 years ago. You barely hear the word Reiki on the radio now, right? So it doesn't even make logical sense that that was on the radio. So I turned the radio off really fast. Like, if I turn it off, then I didn't actually hear it, right? I kind of have a history with, yeah. Anyway, fighting with spirit. So, anyway, I go about my day. Like 2 days later, I have a massage appointment scheduled, which I'm super excited about because I'm super tense. Go in for the massage. I'm laying on my back, and she was like doing something with my head for a minute. And then all of a sudden, my eyes are closed, and I was like really starting to relax. But I felt something happening over my stomach, which now I know it was my solar plexus. And I immediately wanted to like punch her. And I'm not like a scrapper, okay? Like I'm not looking to fight 24/7. But like I was ready to fight. Like I'm like ready to come up off this table. Like I'm like, what are you doing to me? And she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't really want to say anything because I didn't know what you would think, but I really feel like I need to tell you about Reiki. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I said, well, listen, if this is what it's like, I want nothing to do with it. Like, I want to fight. I'm mad. So, anyway, she's like, I'm really sorry. You're mad. I don't know what that's about, but, I just recently had kind of learned some of it, and there's a class coming up that I really think you need to take. And I'm like, no, no, what don't you people understand? I'm not interested. So I take the class and do the class, and immediately at the end of the class, I see a man that in a World War II, I think it was World War II or one, I'm not for sure, but in a uniform, standing at the foot of someone's bed in spirit form. This when I'm doing Reiki, and I was like, oh. And then I turned my face and I closed my eyes. And the lady standing next to me was helping teach the class, and she's like, you saw him, didn't you? And I was like, I didn't see anybody. And she's like, yes, you did. I saw your face. And I'm like, I didn't see anybody. Anyway, long story short, it was the client, the practice client that we were doing. It was like her great great grandfather or something. And I was like, no, they didn't mention anything in my Reiki class, my original Reiki class, that this could really open up some things. Okay. It's kind of like, for lack of better words, the gateway drug for the energetic realm. And yeah, so there, like, it just kind of went on and on and on. I was doing sessions for people. I went further in my training. I was often doing sessions like underground, so to speak, right? People were cornering me in the back of grocery stores and churches, and it looked like I'm doing drug deals. Because they're like, hey, I heard you do Reiki and da 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 da. And can you help me? Or can you help my mom? Or can you help my dad? And things like that. And some of the people closest to me, most of the people closest to me did not know. The only people that knew for a very long time, other than clients, was my best friend and my grandmother. And it meant the world to me that my grandmother was okay with every bit of it because she was very strict Catholic. Um, and and she's like, no, I've seen this happen. I've seen you help people. Like, I know that this is real and that this is not of the devil, so to speak, or anything like that. And then over time, spirit started bringing in angels, and then there were spirit guides, and then there were um, ascended masters, and then the last couple of years, now we've added galactic beings, and there are so many different things. Overall, like animals here and there, but they're starting to come through a lot more now. I would start having like patients that have had strokes that aren't able to speak verbally, communicate with me telepathically. And the first time that happened, I was like, wait a minute, you're not dead. Like, I can touch you. I felt your heartbeat. Like, you're not dead. What's happening? I'm losing my mind. And since then, I've had nonverbal children, speak to me telepathically, and it's been very interesting. I taught a class not too long ago about on telepathy because I feel like that's really starting to come back into our world, and I feel like that's going to be a way of communication more and more, right? And then I just kind of organically started doing retreats and teaching workshops and doing inspirational talks. And like, I don't even know how it all took place. But then almost 2 years ago, they made me go public. And by they, I mean my spirit team. And that was a lot. I started having like this choking episode in my living room, and I felt very strongly they're like, enough, enough, enough. There's no more hiding. Like, we need you. You've got to step it up, especially to start to be prepared for the stuff we need you to do in 2026, 2027, 2028. Like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Uh, yes, they're like, look, we've got things for you to do, and you are no longer allowed to hide this. So I literally physically choking in my living room. My husband walks around the corner, who knew very little about what I did. We've been married almost 20 years. And I'm like, okay, by the way, blah, 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 blah. So he doesn't say anything for a little bit, and he says, so, okay, you talk to dead people, and it's okay with Jesus?
Oh,
And I'm like, oh shit. Sorry. I know that was a lot. And he's like, were you going to tell me about any of this? And I'm like, no, that really was not part of my plan. I was just going to continue in my own little secret world, do what I needed to do because it was safe there. So there's one more thing Spirit's telling me to tell you guys, because I really struggled with the Jesus thing again from being brought up Catholic, and I always knew my intentions were pure, and I knew that I was being led, but I still really had this underlying fear, like, what if I'm disappointing Jesus in some way? And I was in a session about 8 years ago. Let me think. My son is, okay, maybe like 11 years, 10, 11 years ago. And the man was awaiting a double lung transplant. And the only times he was able to sleep was when I would come to his house to do Reiki. So we're outside in 30-degree weather because he was having so much trouble breathing that day. I'm down on my knees, and I have my hands like on his knees, and I'm doing Reiki, and all of a sudden the brightest, brightest light I have ever felt with my eyes closed came. I knew instantly it was Jesus, but I tried desperately to logically talk myself out of it. And I was like, there's no way, there's no way, there's no way. And it got closer and closer and warmer and warmer and warmer till I just started weeping with my eyes closed. And I finally started to open my eyes, and I knew it was like he grabbed my chin ever so gently, lifted it up, and he said, my child, I don't give you these gifts for you to hide them. Now, it still took me, what, 8 years later to come public. But that is a moment. I couldn't speak for like 10 minutes after that happened. Whew, it still brings me back. So a lot of talking to myself afterwards, and my spirit team, and saying, you know what? If Jesus himself just told me, it's okay. Wow. Well, there's not really anything else to worry about. And I think Spirit's telling me to share that because I think there may be some people that are listening that have those fears. And I want you to know, like, you are being called so strongly right now. The world needs you. They need you to step forward, and they need you to step in your light and be your authentic self, because that's how you spread your light. They need you. So that's a long introduction, but there you go.
oh, Justina. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. I am moved beyond words that I can express
Mm.
here. And wow, how powerful, how led every step of the way, even
Yeah,
when you
kicking and
wanted to turn
screaming
it off.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you turned off that radio and you didn't see the spirit standing there or didn't
Yeah.
want to believe it, and here you are And I think that message was just as much for the collective as it was for me in
Mm,
stepping into our light. Thank you for, wow. Thank you.
you're welcome.
You're
Absolutely.
incredible.
Oh,
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you. Wow. It's hard to move on from that. Oh, well, I would love to dive a little bit into your angelic connection and
Mhm.
angel Reiki, if that's something that you studied or if that's just kind of because angels come to you and just your connection to them, and if there are any who are strongly present with you often, I'd love to hear about your whole angelic experience.
Yes. So, the angels started coming into my sessions. I didn't quite know they were angels at first. I wasn't sure what they were, but I knew that the presence was really strong and I knew it wasn't Jesus. So I was really sort of confused about it, but I knew that I was safe. And I think that's where some of the things happen, right, in the spiritual realm. I think if there's a hesitation and you feel like you may not feel safe, there's a reason for that, and honor that. And just ask your spirit team to remove that at that time. But so I did do some training in that, just kind of, there were some books I read, there was a training I took to try to better differentiate all of the angels. And Lorna Byrne has some great books, like Angels in My Hair is one of her books that is absolutely incredible. But the more you start to work with the angels, the more they start to be more present, right? So Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael are kind of like my OGs. Like they're with me a lot, probably almost always. Archangel Michael is a very protective angel and he carries a blue energy. He's very strong and he's kind of a jokester too. So he actually talked to my son who was about to be 16, but when he was 2.5, he had just finished getting potty trained. And him and I were standing in the hallway, and I see him look at me, my son, and I see him look up in the corner, and he giggles. And I'm like, what is going on? And then he pees right there in the middle of the floor in front of me. And I was like, what is wrong with you? You've been doing great. Like, you're potty trained. What do you. And he points up and he says, the angel told me to do it. So, that's really hard to argue with. Just saying. Like, what do I tell him? Don't listen to your, like, I was so baffled. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with that right now. Let me get the floor cleaned up and you cleaned up. So we do all that. He walks in the living room and he sits on the couch. And I said, so where's the angel now? And he said, right in front of me, mommy. And I was like, I'm just going to take a picture. Just, I take a picture. There's a huge white whoosh in front of him. Like, I get goosebumps even saying it. And I was like, oh crap. And instantly I heard in my head Archangel Michael. And I was like, you think this is cute? And my son is just giggling away. Um, but he is he's got this playful energy. And he just likes to poke fun sometimes. Archangel Raphael is full of healing energy, and I'm sure part of my nursing background has to do with that. I did quit nursing for a time. I do it PRN now. I found myself missing it, which I never thought was coming, to be honest. Like, I was pretty done with that. But the best part of it now is being PRN. I can be the kind of nurse I want to. And I mean, if you think I'm spending too much time with the patient or you think this, I mean, fire me. I'll get another nurse job somewhere, right? Like, but I can really be the nurse that I want to be and like take care of them and really connect with their heart and let them know I'm here to advocate for them, which is what a nurse is supposed to do, but so often time doesn't allow you to do that. So those are my main ones. Archangel Jophiel comes in. She really kind of works with your inner child, trying to get you to get playful again and stuff like that. She actually visits my youngest daughter often. My youngest daughter will be 9 soon, and she tells me that like she'll run into the mirror in the morning or something, and she'll be like, "Mom, did you see her?" And I'm like, "Who?" And she's like, "I saw her fluttering like right here. I'm pretty sure it's Archangel Jophiel again." And I just love it. So, but yeah, really. And if you ever want to start working with the angels, you can Google the angels. You can get one of Lorna Burns' books. And you can just ask one or two to start coming in to where you start to get used to their energy. And they help with all of the Reiki sessions. They bring in messages. And sometimes they have me step aside and then they do things to assist with energetic healings in the body. It's They're just incredible. They're just incredible.
I love that. I love that they're with your children and that your children are
I know.
so aware and open. It's so special and sweet. Oh, beautiful. I love that you're back to nursing a bit too as a healing that's a healing modality what you're doing by being so present in the care. And I'm curious if that's always been part of your calling to help others, if that's kind of why you got into the medical field, and if that was maybe you were doing sort of energetic healing even behind the scenes without being aware of it. I love that connection.
Yes. So I've always definitely felt called to help others. Almost, I probably took it too far at one point and used it as a coping mechanism for my own healing I wasn't prepared to do, because if you get yourself nice and busy with everyone else and taking care of all of them and fixing all of them and everything, you don't have time to have to face things that you don't want to deal with. So I think that I really I wanted desperately to be people's hero, and I wanted to be able to save them, and I wanted to be able to shield them from any hurt that could come to them. And while have done a pretty decent job at a lot of those things, what spirit has worked with me over the last several years in on a very deep level, not always a pretty one or not always a fun one. If you're in the spiritual realm, you know that sometimes it's a brutal learning curve. But one of the things they've really worked with me about is they kind of sat me down and said, Justina, here's the thing. We love that you care about people so much, that you don't want them to hurt. But when you rescue them, every time they have a problem, even if it's the same problem over and over, you rob them of the ability to grow and to become the authentic version of themselves. And I was like, that is not what I was trying to do. But I could see every time I spent time healing my inner child, healing traumas I've experienced, healing my relationships, healing every time I did a part of that and reflected on it. Had I not done that, I wouldn't have been able to step further and further into my authentic self. And I wouldn't get to live the dream that I get to now. So it's tricky, the whole thing is tricky. But yes, I've always wanted to. My grandmother actually, a couple years before she passed away, she brought out this little robotic nurse toy. And she said, I brought it to her when I was little. And I said, I'm going to be just like her one day. And so, yes, it's always kind of been in with me. And it's really hard now not to incorporate both things, right? Because I think after you do Reiki for so long, you kind of become the Reiki just kind of is running through you at all times. I will say when I did hospice nursing that it was one of the best things ever to help patients' pain. So if there's anyone listening that has a family member on hospice, Reiki really can help their pain levels when you get to like having bone cancer or stuff like that. There's a lot of pain medications, but your body stops breaking those things down at a certain point in the dying process. And what happens is there's almost no way to get that pain under control because your body's just not breaking it down anymore. You'll eventually stop breathing because of it, but I was able to like hold my hospice patients. I remember there was a lady, she was like 74 pounds, and I would literally rock her in her rocking recliner, and I would give her Reiki, and she would fall asleep in my arms and be comfortable. And that had to be very much on the down low. My manager was very she didn't like the idea that I was doing. She's like, it's just weird, what are you doing over there, because other people are going, it's not working, what's happening, what kind of weird stuff are you doing, which in all reality, if it's helping, what does it matter, right? But I think we're coming around to a lot more things now. That was a bit ago, so I don't know if I answered your question. I probably rambled on.
No, that was beautiful. Wow. You have so many moments that you're sharing that are just so touching and so profound, where it's so beautiful to hear these moments of healing and to speak to the benefits of and the purity of Reiki and how powerful it really is. It's just incredible. And then with that, I'd love to kind of go into some of the heart opening that you spoke about, and how that's been part of your journey, how you help others through that. Any advice for anyone who maybe doesn't even know that their heart has a wall up, and
Mm-hmm.
becoming aware of that? I think it's such a profound experience to realize when we've been keeping ourselves closed for so long, and then to feel again.
So, even in all of this, this spiritual learning and growing and doing Reiki and being a nurse and all of these things, just because we're in this realm and we are practitioners in this realm does not mean we don't deal with very human things as well and often. And I found myself in a time where I was a mom. I had two little kids at the time. I was, well, I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing, right? Like I was feeding the kids, I was feeding myself, I was working, I was doing laundry, I was cleaning the house, and that was most of it. And what happened was I had this dream when I was younger, this like long-term dream. I wanted nothing more than to be a mom, and I wanted to be a good mom. Like I was like, I'm going to be a mom and they're going to know that I love them no matter what, and they're never going to hesitate for a second whether I love them or I protect them. Like I mean, they are going to know. But what was happening is I was realizing that I had turned into a robot. Um, like I wasn't even really having emotions. It was a very sort of disorienting time. But people would start asking me things like, "Well, what's your favorite food?" I don't know. Okay. What's your favorite color? I don't know. What's yours? Any question about who I was or what I liked or anything, like it was so foreign to me. And then I started realizing, oh my gosh, I am like checking all the boxes of doing things with my kids, but I'm not like connected. Like I've like shut down somehow in this process. My marriage at the time had really been going through some rough spots. I also had postpartum depression with my second child, which was very new to me. And not a lot of people that understood what that was. I didn't even really understand it, even as a nurse. Like, it is one thing to know about something in a textbook, but to actually experience it, wow. Anyway, so I sort of felt this nudge, and it had to have come through really loud because I was shut off from everything. And it was like, find a spiritual retreat. I'm like, what? And then it brought me back to that thought that I always had, like I want to be a good mom. So I'm like, okay, if I want to be a good mom, I need to figure this out. I got to do this, right? But there was this piece of me that was like, oh shit, if I do this, this means I might have to see what's in here, right? Whatever I've been blocking to deal with, because I just want to be able to function and not have to think about anything that's going on. So I Google all this stuff to try to find a spiritual retreat, and I'm like, oh, this one, this one, this one. And I'm like, okay. I come across one, and I was like, okay, I see this. Okay, oh, this one's coming up soon. So there's, so my brain works. I'm like, so there's no possible way they have a slot. But I'm going to call Spirit because that's how good I am. I'm going to follow through and call. Now, in the meantime, in the back of my head, I'm like, they're not going to have a spot open. I'm not going to have to call. So I call, and I'm like, I'm going to let it ring 3 times. I'm going to let it ring 3 times. They're not going to answer in 3 times. Don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. And so it rings 3 times. I'm like, click. And I'm like, I did it. Sweet. Okay, well, it didn't work out. I tried. That my phone rings immediately. And I'm like, oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. And it's the number. And I'm like, So I answered, and I'm like, hey, hi. Yeah, I was just going to ask about the retreat, but it's okay. I don't think it'll work out anyway. I probably won't be able to find babysitting. It's all right. Have a good day. And I don't even know if she got hello out, to be honest. And she's like, well, I mean, we actually do have one opening left. You sure you don't want me to put your name down? And I'm like, no. Yeah, because I mean, it's way too close. Like, there's nothing to work out. She's like, how about I put your name down? And then if you can't go, you call me back. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this lady? I've told her I'm not going to be able to find babies. So finally, I'm still in my people-pleasing mode, right? Because I'm a good robot. And I'm like, fine, put my freaking name down. And I'm like, I'll call her back in 5 minutes. Well, it doesn't work out. Now Spirit's like, okay, now you got to see if you can find a babysitter. So I'm like, well, I'll call, but it's short notice, so it's not going to work out. It all worked out. Long story short, damn it. So I go kicking and screaming to this spiritual retreat. And I am just like all fired up because I don't know, I'd been working, I guess, on blocking so much and trying not to deal with things that I went through in my childhood, that I just didn't want to get hurt anymore. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Anyway, so I had this huge exterior power stuff, right? And I walk in the door. It's this beautiful house. And there's probably like 13 people there already. Walk in the door, looking around. I look back at my car like 4 times, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly where my car is. My keys are in my pocket. Okay. Because I've never been to like a spiritual retreat. I don't know for sure what kind of craziness these people do. So I walk in, I look around. Everybody kind of looks up at me, and I'm like, okay, I want to be clear. First of all, I don't want to get naked. Okay? I don't want to dance on a fire. And I don't even remember the rest. Thinking of this now, I'm like, I would shit my pants if somebody walked into my retreat and said that. And everybody was like, okay, us either. Okay, and I'm like, all right, good. I'm glad we got that under control. And then there's like a couch here, and I sit on the very edge of the couch. And my right leg is towards the door. So I know, like, I have the exit if I need to go. But I'm also a good girl, right? And a people pleaser and a Virgo. So I do follow rules as well. I'm like, okay, so we're going to sit here. I'm still, like, on the edge of the seat. There's a lady next to me, and she's like, you're okay. You're okay. And I'm like, I know I'm okay. Gosh, I don't need your help. Right? Anyway, I was such a pain in the ass. Anyway, so we do this meditation, and they called it a doors meditation. And I'm like, a doors meditation? This is stupid, but I'll do it, whatever. I don't do good at meditations. I'm just like trying to talk myself out of it. But I'm like, I'm here for a reason. I got this far. I'm going to do this stupid meditation. So I do the meditation. We go through it, right? Well, we come to one of the doors, and it is like locked shut, like concrete shut. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, no, listen, I freaking came to this retreat. This door's gonna open. Like, I don't have time for this. So I'm like messing with it, messing with it. Then it turns into being like warped. And then, anyway, I eventually end up kicking the door down because I'm like, no, it's opening. Well, I do. And it's like pitch black, like I can't see anything. And I'm like, this is crap. Like, I got the damn door open. Oh, and I was like, but I'm proud of myself because I got the door open. Anyway, so we get done. Oh, by the way, on one of the doors, my great great grandmother that was Cherokee Indian was in there.
Wow.
I thought about that part for a while. But anyway, we get over the thing, and I'm so proud, because I'm like, ooh, I want to share, and everybody. All these people that are here had been to multiple retreats, right? This is my first. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so I'm really proud. And they're like, oh, good, And I'm like, so I went to the doors and I went to this one door. And then, it was this door and it was number whatever, and I said, and that door didn't want to open, right? But I kicked the door down. Like, I got it open. And the whole room gasped. I'm like, what the hell? Like, you guys were supposed to be proud of me. I got the door open. They're like, well, so that was your heart chakra. Well, you got the door open. We don't typically recommend, forcefully bulldozing the door down. And I'm like, whatever. You should just be proud of me is what I'm thinking in my head. And anyway, so about 45 minutes later, they're talking about something else. And I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, I start sweating, and I'm having chest pain. My back is cramping. My head, like my brain is racing. I am like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. Great. Front page of newspaper. Nurse dies of a massive heart attack at a spiritual retreat. I knew I shouldn't have come, right? And one of the leaders comes over and he's like, you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack. Can you call 911? This is ridiculous. I didn't even want to come to this retreat. And he's like, no, honey, you bulldozed your heart chakra, what you have been holding tightly and stuffing more and more and more and more in. And kind of like that closet that like you like shove one last tiny piece of bubble gum inside and shut it, you just ripped it off the hinges. So there's a lot coming out. Anyway, so the whole rest of that retreat over and over was my heart. So what I often start to see now with these heart healings that come in with these sessions is people come in and they're dealing with the same things I was dealing with, right? They're dealing with 3D life and they're trying to get through everything, and they feel like they have to shut down. It's not always a conscious effort, right? You just automatically start to shut pieces down because you're like, I have to freaking function in this world. And sometimes when you are a sensitive person or you're an empath, things hurt big, right? And if you're dealing with your own stuff and then you don't know your boundaries and you're taking everybody else's stuff, it builds and builds and builds and builds and gets heavy. But what started to happen was pure magic. Like every piece that I healed throughout that came open, it was like my crown chakra opened wider. Everything you spend time on regarding healing yourself increases your connection to the divine by like 1,000,000%. Not only that, it helps your physical body. Like I had all these physical changes start to take place. Like my face was completely broke out, every little tiny piece of it with acne and stuff like that. Well, it kind of inflamed a little bit first since I kicked the damn door down, but then it was like all of these pieces started to subside because I didn't have to be in fight or flight anymore, right? I could be at peace and I could have this healing take place. And I could do it in a safe way where, yeah, it doesn't mean I'm exempt from getting hurt from anything, but I learned how to have the boundaries with it, right? I learned how to be safe in my body and to be able to not pick up everybody's stuff along the way. So it's a whole lot of clearing, a lot of empowering, and a lot of letting your light shine once you get that empowering come. So it's kind of an overcompassing definition of that, I guess.
So beautiful. I love that story, and I find it just to be so moving how, even when you were so kind of closed off in that phase, you answered the call, you heard, you trusted yourself, you listened, and again, just true divine guidance every moment to get you there and to get you to listen and open to that. It's so beautiful.
Once again, kicking and screaming. Yes.
I love that. I feel like so many of us can relate to that, though,
Oh,
of
good.
hearing that voice and wanting to
Yes.
stay safe, stay small, but
Right.
it's time.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you ever had that thought like, no, wait, that wasn't my plan. No, that's not really what I
All the time.
And
Yeah.
spirit's like, oh, that's so cute. You had a plan.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of retreats, I am so excited to hear that you just shared and just launched your very exciting retreat coming up in Oregon. And I'd love to hear how that came together and how I'm sure Spirit led you every step of the way with that too.
Wow. Yes. So I have been doing retreats for a couple of years now, and I absolutely love them. And kind of what happens is I feel the land calling me to a certain place, and it's odd. I'm getting a little more used to it now, but I've done some retreats in San Francisco, and I've done some locally, and they are, oh my gosh, they're just so magical because there's nothing better than witnessing people become empowered. Like, wow. Like lifting the weight off of them. They're doing most like spirit. I'm not like, I'm just kind of holding the space to allow all this to take place. And it's so beautiful and magical. Like, they look different by the end of the retreat, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's just so amazing. So the retreat is going to be in Bend, Oregon. And Spirit started coming through a little over a year ago, and I kept hearing Bend. And I was like, you want me to bend? Like, what? I don't get it. And then they were saying Oregon, and I'm like, I mean, I know Oregon is a state. Like, I live in the Midwest, like Southern Illinois, close to St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm like, Oregon, I've never even like thought of, or I mean, like, I know it's like above me, sort of. Anyway, then they put Bend and Oregon together, and I was like, Bend, Oregon, like, really? That's not a name. Like, I remember writing it down, and I'm like, is there a stand-up Oregon too? Like, because I'm just such a punk, And
Oh,
Spirit's like, no, Justina. So I keep feeling this like pull, and like, and it's very interesting because it's almost like the dirt itself is like reaching out, and we're like hugging each other. I know it sounds bizarre, but anyway, so then it was all of a sudden like people started coming to me, and they're like, hey, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to ask you if you've ever been to Bend, Oregon. And I'm like, are you freaking serious right now? No, but why is this happening? Anyway, I talked to two of my friends that I've been talking to for a while. We took some classes online together, and it was so crazy because I'm telling them about this, right? And I knew that they lived on the West Coast somewhere. I knew one of them was in California. I honestly didn't know where the other one was. And mid sentence, she's like, one of my friends says, I live in Bend, Oregon, right? And I'm like, shut up. You do not. And she's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, shut up. And she's like, I mean, I lived in Portland for a little while, but I've been in Bend for a while. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say about that. And she's like, well, why don't you guys come in March? So this past March, we went. Oh my gosh. First of all, that was my first time in Seattle Airport, and Seattle Airport is freaking gorgeous and huge. And they have a Vietnamese restaurant in the airport. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was very excited about that. But we fly into Bend, and I am, I can feel the energy before I get off the plane. And it is the same feeling in like Stinson Beach, San Francisco, the same feeling in Asheville, North Carolina, which is another place that I am in love with. It's like this warm blanket, right? And oh my gosh, it feels so good. So I get there and I'm like, I need to get a bottle of water. So it's a smaller airport in Bend, and there's like a little gift shop sort of area, and I go get a bottle of water. I come in, and the guy working there is like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm good. How are you?" And he's like, "I know you," and I'm like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "You don't know me," and he's like, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "You have two daughters," and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "You have two daughters that are like 10 years apart, right?" And I have three daughters, and they're all 10 years apart, but I'm like, "Yeah, this is weird." And he's like, "And you have a son too, right?" And I'm like, "Uh huh. Do I
Wow.
know you?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You work at the school over there." And I'm like, "Oh, no, no, I don't work at the school." I was like, "I'm not from around here at all." And he's like, "Are you serious?" He said, "Well, what are you here for?" And I said, "Well, I'm visiting some friends, but it feels a lot like I'm looking for a retreat venue possibly." And he's like, "Well, what kind do you do?" So I'm telling him about it, and he's like, "What's that?" He's like, "What's Reiki energy healing and like all these different spiritual topics and everything?" And he's like, "Do you have a business card?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I need to give one to my girlfriend." I'm like, "Okay." And every single place was like that, Meredith. Like,
Wow.
I can't even, I don't know if my feet physically touch the ground in so many spots. Like, it was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. There's like this, I hope I am not saying this name, like back porch coffee. Back porch, backyard. They have some of the best coffee I've ever had in Bend, Oregon, to be clear. And I mean, like all of the food, like all of the people, all of the, it was incredible. We went to a drumming ceremony at the People's Apothecary, which was incredible. There is a place called Ben Teal that actually I think might have opened right when we were there or right after, but I've been following them on Instagram. They're incredible. There's so many places that I went there. Every step I took, I could just like, I don't know, I probably would have laid down and just like hugged the dirt for hours. It was very beautiful, so beautiful and warm and invigorating. Like all of this stuff was like growing inside of me. And I was like, people need to know about this community. Like, they need to know how incredible this community is. So much of my retreat too is bringing in community businesses to kind of have at one of the days of the retreat too, so people can like buy from them as well and experience that love of community. That's one of the biggest things that I feel like my purpose is turning into is going to all these different places where the land is calling me and building like micro communities all over the place to where all of these people can interact with each other and know that they are not alone in any step of their life and that they're not too woo woo and they're not too crazy and they're so loved and they're so needed to be here and they're so being called to step into their purpose. And the name of the retreat, Spirit also brought in. And what they showed me was literally a woman just like busting through every chain there is, like all like 18 layers of clothing, just like busting off of her. And she like jumps out like this. And they said, the name of your retreat is Unbound.
Hmm. Wow.
You are unbound now. And you are about to lead people to become unbound. Women need to know that they are here for a divine purpose, and we are calling them forward to be able to live that purpose and to shine their light and let the impact of them being their authentic self ripple in every environment that they're in. And like, oh, I have goosebumps everywhere. I'm so freaking excited about this retreat. It's the biggest one I've ever done. There's going to be 50 participants, and the room that we have, the Deschutes River flows right behind it. It's at the River House Lodge in Bend. And then there'll be a VIP night on Saturday night that will be at a location about 3.2 miles or so from there, which is also a very magical venue. So, yeah, it is. It's really all about we're done. We're done hiding. We're done making ourselves small. That's not what we're here for. And it's time.
Oh, Justina, you are magic. Thank you.
Oh, I love
Wow. Oh
you.
my gosh. I'm so excited for you and for this retreat. And I just feel the passion, the energy, the power you're going to bring, the empowerment
Mm.
to these souls that are going to be gathering with you. And what a light worker, truly changing the world. And I'm seeing you just kind of lighting up the grid across and connecting. And
Oh, I
that's
love
how
that.
I feel you are with your podcast too, where it is so just
Oh,
reaching all of these networks. And
thank
wow,
you.
I could
Thank
listen
you
to you talk
so
all
much.
day. Thank you. um, um, with that, getting into kind of wrapping up a little bit, I feel like there's
Mhm.
so much more that we could go into, but I'd love to hear if there's any kind of collective message that you feel like Spirit has for the listeners here, for all of us, for yourself, just anything that's been coming to you lately that you'd like to share.
Yeah. So, well, a lot of it unbound, of course, but I would say the thought of caring what anyone has to say about you or your character is done. It really needs to be released, and I really invite people to sit with that for a minute. Because if you truly know your intention, and I feel like I'm talking to my old self with this, but if you truly know your intention and it is for the greater good of this world and for humanity, that's all you need to know. You don't need to know what someone has to say. And of course, we know that hurt people, right? And so many times when someone comes at you with hate, when you have a message of love, is such a reflection on what's going on inside them. I think that's something that I have learned over the years too. The more you're in this, working in the spiritual realm and things, you get to have this perspective and see people in a different way. So often they're walking with their armor, they're walking with their hurt. Um, it's not their soul, because honestly, their soul is beautiful and their soul is divine. And so much of what they're spewing at you or others is defense, is because they're scared. And we're really being called to look at ourselves in that. I think collective messages for healers too is always to dedicate time, at least monthly, to check in with yourself. Like, okay, what is my purpose? Am I doing my purpose? And why am I doing my purpose? Am I doing it because this is what I feel like I'm here to do and I love it? Or am I getting caught up in a 3D ego world? Because sometimes what happens is that there are certain people that start to look at you as if you're a guru, and if you're not checking in with yourself and reminding yourself, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm here to do, and humbling yourself, you can get really caught up in yourself and lose sight of the whole purpose of why you're here, right? And so I think that's really important to do. And collectively, I think all of our spirit teams want desperately for each and every individual to know that no matter how lonely they feel at any given time, they are never actually alone. Never. If they truly, truly hardcore feel alone, they need to ask themselves, are you pushing away? Because whenever you're ready for your spirit team to hold you, all you have to do is ask. They are next to you, they are cheering you on, they are so ready, like, hey, we're right here. Come on, come on, ask us, ask us. Can we hold you? Can we lead you into something? Can we help you? Can we please, 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 please call on us? Call on them. That's their job. That's what they want to do for you. So please, please don't ever think that you're alone. And find community. That is probably the biggest thing that the collective messages that have been coming through is find community. Don't try to do this a life alone. Just don't do it. Like we weren't created to do things alone ever. We really were not. We were built to work together, to collaborate, to have somebody to drink coffee with sometimes, to have somebody to fuss and moan sometimes. That's what we're here for. Don't try to do this life alone. You don't have to. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And speaking of community, I would love to know what you have coming up. I know you have some Reiki classes as well, and other exciting offers, and just where people can find you, work with you, connect with you. Some more details on finding your retreat information.
Absolutely. So, angelreikijourney.com is the website. That's where you will find one-on-one appointments for Angel Reiki sessions. You will find more information. I've got an online Reiki Usui Holy Fire Reiki 1 and 2 being taught online the end of July. I have an in-person Usui Holy Fire Reiki 1 and 2 being taught in August. And that will be in Highland, Illinois, not the Highland Park, Illinois in Chicago, Highland, Illinois, closer to St. Louis, Missouri. And oh my gosh, there's just so many things. I do have a retreat locally in the Midwest in November. That one is, I think there might be one spot left for that. That information is on there. And then, of course, the retreat in Bend. There'll be other classes and workshops coming up. You can always find those there. And I'm probably most active on Instagram at Angel Reiki Journey. And yeah, and really, Angel Reiki Journey was born of like, the angels bring me so much comfort and peace. Reiki has changed my life on so many levels. And Journey, because it's not ever over. No matter when we cross over to the other side, it's never over. We are on this journey. You don't get to, tick off, oh, I've healed everything, I'm good. There's always opportunity for more. And the further you get down this path, you start to be able to deal with things and heal things and it not be quite as catastrophic. Doesn't mean that there won't be highs and lows, because there is, let's be real. But yeah, it's a journey and we're here for you.
So beautiful. Thank you, Justina. Are there any
Yeah.
final messages or words you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I think, okay, Spirit is saying if someone's been on your mind lately, make the call. Reach out, text them or call them, and do it today. There's a reason. There's a reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Justina, thank you so much. You are the most beautiful soul. Your energy is so healing and supportive, and the authenticity that you bring is so refreshing. Um, I feel like you're helping people to timeline shift and jump. I was just thinking of that a little bit. I feel like
Oh.
you're really transforming the world by the work you're doing, and you're such an inspiration. I'm so grateful to know you. Thank you as always for your time, your light, sharing your love and your heart and your soul with the
Mm.
world. And I hope to see you in person and hug you very soon.
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
Mm,
I know. I tell
thank you.
everybody that's listening, that I always feel like I need to touch Meredith, like, because I'm like, she's so much the divine feminine and like
Oh.
Mary Magdalene in the flesh. And I'm like, are
Mm.
you real? Like, I just want to touch her
Aw.
arms. I'm like, you're
Aw.
real, right?
Aw, I feel the same about you. You're an angel here in human form.
Aw,
Oh, thank you, Justina. I'm
thank
so
you
grateful.
so much. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
me too. So grateful. Okay, bye, Justina.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of All the Above. I hope you found some wisdom, insights, remembrances within yourself, and I hope you remember how beautiful and divine you are and that you have so much to offer and bring to this world. And your gifts are so needed. You're so needed exactly as you are. And with that, if I haven't said it yet, I want to send you so much love and light. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you have the most magical day, and I will see you soon. Bye.